Here's your briefing for Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. 5 stories that show how quickly yesterday's assumptions become today's attack surface. Security researchers at Hunt.io reconstructed a campaign that compromised more than 14,530 Dahua devices between mid-June and late July using credential stuffing, 2 authentication bypass flaws, and a peer-to-peer relay technique. The activity, dubbed Operation CameraSwarm, came from an exposed 407 megabytes working directory containing tooling, logs, and campaign records. Compromises concentrated in Ukraine and Russia, with 1,923 cameras left with a persistent account and 283 reached via the P2P path. Users are advised to apply vendor firmware or disable P2P where possible. That's the headline from the Hacker News, and it demonstrates that commodity IoT hardware remains an attractive, lightly defended target even when the tooling leaks in public. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency on Tuesday added 4 critical vulnerabilities to its Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. The additions include CVE 2026-6540, an improper authentication issue in Apple, macOS screen sharing that allows network attackers to authenticate without credentials, a weak authentication bypass in Microsoft SharePoint, a path traversal flaw in Broadcom VMware vCenter that leads to remote code execution, and a double-free vulnerability in Microsoft Internet Key Exchange Service extensions. All 4 are being exploited in the wild. That's the headline from the Hacker News. And it is another reminder that even the largest vendors continue shipping high-impact flaws that reach the internet before patches are widely deployed. Microsoft Defender experts correlated endpoint and network behaviors across more than 30 web domains tied to MaxSync Stealer, a macOS-focused information stealer. The analysis traced payload retrieval through data collection, staging, and exfiltration, with recurring execution patterns beginning from interactive ZSH terminal sessions consistent with ClickFix social engineering. Observed requests followed a recurring curl path and used consistent upload parameters. Microsoft did not disclose victim counts or attribute the activity to a named actor. That's the headline from the Hacker News, and it shows defenders are getting better at clustering fast flux infrastructure even when the operators rotate domains aggressively. WatchTower and Vulncheck reported active scanning and exploitation of CVE 2026-64849, an unauthenticated server-side request forgery vulnerability in MLflow versions before 3.5.15.0. The flaw allows an attacker who can reach the tracking server to issue HTTP requests to arbitrary internal cloud metadata endpoints and extract sensitive credentials. A second critical issue in Fuxa, an open-source SCADA HMI platform, is also seeing exploitation. That's the headline from the Hacker News, and it underscores that AI, ML tooling, and OT-adjacent platforms are now first-class targets once they expose unauthenticated endpoints to the network. Most email defenses still scan for malicious content. That approach is already failing against business email compromise that relies on social engineering rather than payloads. Researchers are now documenting the next phase where both attackers and defenders deploy autonomous agents that interact with each other in real time. The shift moves the battle from static signatures to dynamic agent behavior and persistent state that agents carry between sessions. That's the headline from the Hacker News. And it is a concrete signal that the same automation used to scale defensive response is also being turned into an offensive force multiplier. 5 stories, 1 consistent pattern. IoT fleets, enterprise collaboration platforms, macOS endpoints, AI development frameworks, and the emerging agent layer are all being probed the moment they become reachable. The gap between it works in the lab and it is reachable from the internet remains the most expensive assumption in the stack. That's the briefing. Stay sharp, keep your systems patched, and we'll see you tomorrow.